Well, this one's definitely going to be tricky. Oh, you're finally doing the Primal video, huh? Yeah, and this time with footage from the show. It's easy to talk about Primal when it's just me sitting in front of the camera and there is no footage, but now that I actually have to incorporate stuff from it, not only do I have to worry about copyright, I also have to get around all of the violent imagery or else we might get demonetized. Sucks to be you. If I get demonetized, so do you, Snazzy, and we're trying to make some big stuff happen here, remember? That would be a huge setback. Well, in that case, don't screw it up. Well, okay. Thank you very much for helping to demonstrate the opposite of what this video will be about. It's one of my specialties. That was sarcasm! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and it's time, finally, for another Patreon request. This one was a request from my patron Angelo, who wanted something about Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, specifically about why the characters of Spear and Fang make such a great duo. Primal, the best show that's often a challenge to watch because of how unrelentingly brutal it is. Had it just been violence for its own sake, the series might not have worked so well, but audiences the world over, even those who don't care for ultraviolence, stuck through it, largely thanks to our two leads, Spear and Fang. We don't just want to see how this caveman and dinosaur get out of different scenarios. We actually care about if they make it. We want them to make it, and we want them to make it together. Our question today is, why? What is it about these two that makes us love them both equally and thus want to see them survive? Well, I think I've narrowed it down to a few episodes throughout the first season, when Primal was at its best. And it begins, appropriately enough, at the beginning. Spear and Fang initially meet as enemies, at least as far as Spear is concerned. The caveman has just lost his wife and children to a carnosaur attack, and although he chose to live after nearly ending it all in despair, his lingering anger compels him to seek vengeance, and he wishes to enact that vengeance on Fang. Now, since Primal is a series without dialogue, a lot of things in it are open to interpretation, but I see it this way. Spear is primitive, but he's not stupid. I'm sure he knows that Fang is not one of the dinosaurs who killed his family, nor is she even the same species. The thing is, he doesn't care. At this point, he sees all dinosaurs, especially the theropods, as enemies. Nature used the theropods to take from him, so he's determined to take from nature in kind. Seeing Fang with children of her own, however, stays his hand. It dawns on him that killing Fang would also mean killing the infants, and he would be just like the monsters that ate his family. The primitive man has been introduced to a bit of nuance he was not prepared for, and it conflicts directly with his desire for revenge. Had the scene not been interrupted, who knows which side would have won out. But the massive carnosaurs return to wreak havoc, thus making the choice for him. Spear helps Fang to protect her children, a fight that they ultimately lose despite killing the assailants. For the second time, Spear could not protect the innocent, and so he wanders off again. Yet Fang follows him. At this point, we don't know just how intelligent this T-Rex really is. One thing is clear, though. She doesn't want to be alone. Spear was the last being in the entire world who showed her any kindness, and as such, she doesn't want him to leave her. Spear sees the wisdom of partnering up with the dinosaur. The odds of surviving will increase if they are together, and so an alliance is forged. But any new relationship comes with an adjustment period, and that's what we see in the second episode. Spear and Fang are at odds with each other here, since the latter is still acting like a T-Rex, and the former has no way of properly communicating how frustrating that is for him. At least, not until he's had enough. By the end, the tension is too great, and the pair are at each other's throats. Interestingly, they are both evenly matched. Fang has size and raw power on her side, but Spear has cunning and weaponry, and the fight ends up being one of attrition. It doesn't seem like either one has the advantage, but neither one wants to surrender either. The only thing that stops them is the sudden realization that there are freakishly huge snakes nearby. This, combined with a flash flood, forces them back into a partnership, and the conclusion leads to a big step forward. You see, Spear almost dies when he goes over a waterfall and hits nearly every rock on the way down. Fang, upon realizing that she might have lost her only companion, does everything she can think of to revive him, which thankfully works. At this point, they both conclude that they shouldn't keep squabbling if they want to survive, although their fight does turn out to have had some benefits. Now they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and this allows them to work together properly, as we see when they start hunting again as the episode concludes. The third episode only touches briefly on the pair's dynamic after they kill the elderly mammoth. As they eat, Spear makes himself a fur coat and slings some wool over Fang to protect them both from the cold. Without even looking up, Fang shimmies to dislodge the coat. After that, Spear cobbles together a bone sled and tries getting Fang to pull it, but the dinosaur turns and stalks off as if to say, "Dream on, Frazetta man." This is the last attempt Spear ever makes at domesticating Fang. From this point onward, he accepts that just because she lets him ride on her back doesn't mean she's a pet that he can control, so he doesn't try again. In the fourth episode, something unexpected happens. Spear gets taken out of the picture by the Batmen, and for the first time, Fang is on her own. She's determined to save the caveman from the mountaintop lair he's brought to, but the slope is too steep to climb, despite her best efforts. Then, for the first time in the show, we get a hint that Fang really is smarter than your average saurian. Through observation, she figures out that by playing dead, the bats will bring her to the mountaintop on their own. It's a simple yet effective move that shows the dinosaur has more brains than you might expect. The significant detail, of course, is that Fang refuses to leave Spear for dead. She has no reason to think he had a chance, yet she doesn't give up on him, and as a result, they both survive and live to fight another day. After that, Spear returns the favor. By the end of episode 5, Fang appears to have been killed by the ape men. Quick aside, fans who discover this series in the future will never know the agony that came from watching the end of this episode and having it followed by a nearly 6-month-long mid-season break. That's 6 months of not knowing if this dinosaur we'd grown so attached to was alive or dead. These days you can just watch the whole thing on DVD or streaming, going from one episode right into the other. But for us OG fans, that was a violation of the Geneva Convention. Anyway, the good news is that Fang is alive, but she's severely injured and needs time to recuperate. Well, Fang didn't leave Spear behind, so Spear doesn't leave Fang behind either. Of course, this is a world of constant danger, and jackals who sense an easy meal start following the pair as they seek shelter. Spear spends the rest of the episode preparing and eventually fighting these beasts by himself, only for Fang to jump back in when she's all healed up. The episode ends with them in mid-battle, but we don't need to see it wrap up at that point. We know that they're both back in form, and there's no way they can lose to a bunch of mangy jackals. From there, the dynamic is firmly established, and we know that nothing can keep these two apart for very long. We see this affirmed, of course, in the 9th episode. At one point, Spear gets the bright idea to go and try stopping the Night Feeder from attacking a ceratopsian herd, but Fang stops him dead in his tracks. Had this been an earlier episode, Spear would not have taken kindly to Fang's aggression as she gets in his way. But this far in, his perspective has grown. He knows that if Fang is this determined to keep him from leaving, even to the point where she might be ready to take him down if she needs to, then she must have a reason. As such, he lets the matter go rather than fight, and waits until they both have a chance at taking down the Night Feeder together. Watching Spear and Fang grow is a large part of why we love Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal. They showed what it takes to survive by sticking together, and they did it all without ever saying a word. God knows a talker like me certainly can't do that. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Okay, I think that worked out. Yep, knew you could. Never doubted you for a second. Yeah, it would have been nice if you had actually helped and contributed a bit more, though. You know, given what the video's about. Get that animated series going and I'll pull my weight.